You really think you're going to win against her? That's what my neighbor muttered, half pity, half warning, right as I peeled that violation notice off my cabin door, ink still wet tape smearing the cedar frame my old man put up with his own 2 hands. I didn't even answer him. Not then. Truth is, I wasn't sure. Not after what Karen did to the last guy who fought back. His garden, gone in a week, deck, ripped out, fines stacked so high he sold and left. But this cabin, man, this wasn't just some patch of dirt with a mortgage. This was my dad's legacy, the only place left that feels like home, and I'll be damned if I let anyone bulldoze it, especially not with my kids sleeping inside. I guess I wasn't supposed to survive this kind of war, but I know how things break. I'm a civil engineer, spent 16 years inspecting bridges that fell apart because somebody cut corners or didn't follow code. I know how to brace what matters, and this time I was done being quiet. So the morning Karen Whitmore marched up my steps, clipboard tight, and slapped a notice on my siding, she had no idea she just picked the wrong guy for her little crusade. "You're out of compliance, Daniel. That means it comes down." She didn't even look up, just stuck the paper under the copper thermometer my dad mounted 2 decades ago. Except this cabin. It's older than the HOA itself. You might want to check Section 6.1 of the county charter before you bring a backhoe up my hill, I told her, voice calm, not budging from the top step. She scoffed, clicked her pen like a judge swinging a gavel, and walked away. You know what I mean? That's how bullies operate. But the truth is, I'd already seen her playbook. The family 2 doors down lost their deck. Apparently it was 2 inches past the setback. Couple on the bend fined $900 for painting their shutters the wrong shade of green. This wasn't about safety. It was about control. That notice Karen posted on my door wasn't even signed by a city official. Just HOA letterhead, unverified, and most importantly, unpermitted. If I'd been the usual scared neighbor, maybe it would have worked. But that night, while Emily fed our toddler oatmeal and our kid painted banana mush all over the high chair, I told her quietly, "It's a final notice." She looked me dead in the eye. "Are we scared?" I shook my head. "Not anymore." I started prepping. Not just waiting, but planning. I mounted a GoPro under the eave, set up cloud backups. This was my house, my rules. Next morning, I strapped my boy to my back, walked to the park, and watched how normal life still tried to push through Karen's little regime. Mike Tran, 3 houses up the ridge, flagged me down. "You got one too?" He nodded at the paper in my pocket. "Final notice," I said. He shook his head, whistled, told me about his fence. Said it didn't meet specs. Rebuilt it 3 weekends in a row. Still got fined. Said it wasn't visually harmonious. Then Carla from the lake house joined in her Navy vet husband's gate there since the 80s, now suddenly not up to code. Mike handed me a list, names, addresses, violations, 23 folks targeted in 6 months, all with homes like mine. Older, inherited, untouched by Karen's modernization. That's when it clicked. She wasn't enforcing anything. She was targeting. Divide, isolate, and break us down one by one. I asked, "She ever file permits for any of these?" Mike snorted, "Permits. She hasn't filed anything with the city since last year." That was the thread. If Karen was acting without the city demolishing, fining, threatening, then there was either a paper trail or more likely none at all. All I had to do was pull. But first I had to keep my neighbors safe. No way I'd let her bulldoze my place or theirs. I left the park and headed straight for the real HOA office, not the shiny one by the clubhouse, the board's private entrance around the back where the air smelled like copier ink and cheap air freshener. Karen was inside, leaning on her desk, talking low to someone. If he resists, we escalate. Board empowered us. He's out of compliance. That second voice, soft, nervous, Mara Jensen, the only board member who ever looked me in the eye. I waited till Mara stepped out and followed her to the mailroom. "You don't agree with this, do you?" I asked. She hesitated, twisted a silver ring on her finger. "I didn't vote for demolition. I abstained." The weight of her words hung in the air. I handed her Mike's spreadsheet. "This isn't community. This is targeting." Mara finally whispered. "She pushes things through fast, fills the board with people who owe her. If we object, we're undermining cohesion." She'd never seen a single permit. That was the crack I needed. I left without thanking her. She wasn't ready for that. But I'd seen it. Fear only works until you name it out loud. I planned to name it loud enough for the whole county to hear. 2 days later, diesel engines woke me before dawn. Bulldozer parked at the end of my drive flatbed trailer, loaded with more gear. Karen in her tailored jacket, sipping coffee by her SUV. Bit early for excavation, I called out Livestream, prepped in my back pocket. Just staging equipment. We move fast when safety's involved. She tossed the word safety like a weapon, claimed the board had authorized emergency mitigation under some brand new section 4.3. There was no 4.3. "You filed a demolition permit with the city," I pressed. She lied, said HOAs could act in emergencies without outside approval. That was dangerous. She was about to become liable. "You planning to enter my property today?" I asked. "Depends how fast you comply." 48 hours expired this morning. My grip tightened around the fence post. "My kids are inside." She didn't blink. "That's your decision, Daniel." She nodded at the bulldozer operator and climbed into her SUV, smug as a cat. I waited till she was gone, then called the sheriff. Didn't ask for sympathy, just laid out the facts. Unauthorized heavy equipment. No permit. Kids inside, all recorded, all backed up. Then I went to work. Measured the setbacks, found the bulldozer was only 7 feet from my porch. HOA policy said 10. Took photos of the operator's ID, no license, just diesel. Dave in Sharpie. Transport violations, frayed straps, 5 separate safety issues in 15 minutes. Uploaded it all, time-stamped and GPS tagged, and sent it to the sheriff and the county inspector. Not accusations, documentation. That afternoon, Sheriff Alvarez rolled up. Diesel Dave was still hanging around. The sheriff barely said a word, just checked IDs, scanned my evidence, and nodded. No county seal, no valid contractor, no emergency permit. She tries to move this thing, she's on the hook, not you. That's when I knew I had her. No more bluffing, real authority behind me. But bluffs don't always stay on paper. Sometimes people carry them out for a paycheck. That night, after my kids were asleep and Emily had gone to bed, the neighborhood group chat exploded. Mike posted a grainy photo, Karen talking to a man in a safety vest, plates covered, meeting in the clubhouse parking lot. "That guy's not HOA crew," Carla chimed in. Karen wasn't just threatening anymore, she was moving. Next morning, a knock at the kitchen window. Man in a yellow vest, clipboard, blank face. "You're being served with an immediate compliance summon. Structure will be removed by 10 a.m. tomorrow." "There's no subsection B," I said. He just shrugged, handed me a paper with no signature, no permit, climbed into that same unmarked pickup and drove off. I called the sheriff again. "They're pushing forward," I said. "Fraudulent notice. Off-record crew." Alvarez paused, then, "Stay put. Don't engage." But I wasn't just waiting anymore. I walked the perimeter, set up a motion camera, prepped a second live stream trigger to auto-broadcast if anything happened while I slept. That night, Mara texted me one word: "Come." Her backyard was dark, wine bottle untouched on the table. She handed me a flash drive, voice shaking. Proof Karen's been hiring unlicensed contractors, paying through shell accounts, her cousin's outfit in Tacoma. No permits, just internal minutes with only Karen's signature. Mara looked hollow. "What are you going to do with it?" "Send it to the sheriff, county, maybe the state," I said. "If she finds out, she won't. And if she does, she'll be answering questions." By 3 a.m., I'd submitted a formal complaint to the state, another to the county-attached screenshots, logs, affidavits, no guesswork, just facts. At 4 a.m., I recorded a video. If anything happens to this cabin, this stream becomes public. Every agency will see it. Scheduled it to auto-publish if anything tripped the cameras. That morning, I packed every document, every photo, printed 2 copies, one for the sheriff, one for the city, dropped 3 envelopes in the community mailbox, one for Alvarez, one for the county, and one hand-delivered to Karen, formal notice of owner dispute. From there, I cut across to Mike's garage, synced his drone for extra footage, and handed out folders to trusted neighbors. Carla nodded. About time someone put her on her heels. Back at the cabin, Emily was on the couch with the kids, eyes on the window. I kissed her forehead. Soon, I promised. At 9:17, the text came, Sheriff turning onto Lakeview. Be ready. By 9:23, Karen's black SUV pulled up, designer sunglasses and place clipboard out. Emergency order stands. Structure scheduled for removal. I didn't flinch, pointed to the drone now recording. You're on camera from 3 angles, standing on ground you have no right to alter. Last chance, Karen, step back or step down. The sheriff's cruiser rolled up behind her. Alvarez didn't waste a second, walked past Karen straight to me. I handed him the folder. Photos. Violations, fraudulent contracting, no permit, no inspection file. He nodded, then walked over to Diesel Dave. Name and company son. Dave stammered, admitted he was just a friend of Karen's cousin. No license, no permit. Alvarez turned back to Karen. You authorized demolition without a permit. Hired unlicensed operators. Failed to notify law enforcement. Bypass county inspection. Karen started spinning. Our bylaws allow emergency mitigation. Your bylaws don't supersede state law. That's when it broke. If a single piece of equipment moves onto this property, I will detain the operator and open a criminal investigation into your leadership conduct. Karen flushed red, silent. Diesel Dave got in his pickup and drove away. The bulldozer stayed put, unmanned. That night at the clubhouse, it was standing room only. Karen at the front, sharp blazer, eyes darting. Sheriff Alvarez laid out the findings: unlicensed contractors, no permits, threats made outside proper notice, all confirmed. A cease and desist. Someone clapped, then another. Karen tried to spin it, but Alvarez cut her off. Payments from HOA funds to unknown accounts, testimony from a board member forwarded to county council. I stood, folder in hand. For 3 weeks, Karen Whitmore tried to bulldoze a privately owned, legally protected cabin with my children inside. No permit, no cause, fraudulent notices, threats, blocked contractors, hired unlicensed crews. She gambled we'd all stay silent. That ends tonight. Hands went up. Vote to suspend Karen, overwhelming yes. I walked outside into the warm night, Emily beside me, our son asleep on her shoulder. Cabin still standing behind us. Karen resigned 3 days later to spend more time with family. Board held an emergency election. Mara organized. Mike was elected. Carla started policy review. Turns out the whole community was just waiting for someone to flip the switch. Now the sheriff's still investigating every letter Karen sent, being audited county, setting up a task force for HOA accountability. Emily laced her fingers through mine. Feels different now. It is, I said. Not just safer, stronger. The wind moved through the trees, lake calm as glass, and I thought about my dad. Don't just build something that looks good, son. Build something that stands even after you're gone. Now I know what he meant. So if you're watching this and someone's trying to take what matters to you, remember, law still matters, but you have to show up with it in your hands. If you've ever fought back, drop a comment, tell your story, hit subscribe. Because sometimes all it takes is one person shining a light, and suddenly the whole system has to blink.